Greetings and salutations. How's everybody doing tonight? My name is Scott Allison. This is Beyond 280. This is the show I go beyond the 280 characters on Twitter, get to know the people, the trends, the topics, everything that's going on in Twitter, basically. Today might be a little interesting right before this show. So we got a new puppy a couple weeks ago. And right before this show, this puppy managed to find an exposed Ethernet cable in my house. I'd run it under the carpet and like one part of it was exposed. Well, he managed to pull it out and chew it in half. So I am running on Wi-Fi for this setup today. So I don't know how well that's going to go, but we shall see. So if you see any stuttering or anything like that, it's probably not you. It's probably me. So I hope everybody's doing well this week. It's been an interesting June for everybody. It's been an interesting June for Twitter, for current events. It's just been all around an interesting year. Not the greatest, but you know we're muddling through. This is better than 2020. I will say that, especially if you're in Texas or places where they've kind of let loose restrictions earlier than everybody else. So let's get into today's topic du jour, if you will. Today I'm talking about, and again, my show is always about Twitter. So today I'm talking about being offended. You've probably seen it. You've probably heard it. And it's not just Twitter, by the way. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. You know, nowadays you can't say or do anything without offending somebody. And that's the thing. I often speak of when I'm talking about Twitter. I talk about the vitriolic dialogue that's on there, the name calling, the hatred, the divisiveness that we see on Twitter. I really think that Twitter, it not singularly, but plays a very large part in the division that we have here in the United States, because there's so much misinformation getting passed around. There's so much hatred getting passed around. So much half things being passed around, half notions, half ideas. People are posting articles and people are just reading the headlines and clicking straight through them. It's perfectly understandable that Twitter is going to be divisive. It's the nature of the beast. People get behind the avatars. They feel like they can say and do whatever they want. But today I'm not really focusing on those people. Today I'm focusing on the people that consume that information and then decide to make it their point to say how offended they are, how hurt they are, how they're triggered. Maybe they have to have a safe space. Maybe they're being called snowflakes, or there could be multiple different things. Yeah, as Elo says here, so a lot of what Twitter is now is clickbait. Clickbait land, baby. Clickbait land. That's right. And so, all this vitriol and divisiveness this is just a truth, right? Nobody disputes that. And I just don't speak enough about when people are offended. Now, here's an interesting, I'm going to get personal real quick with you guys on a personal level. So growing up, I come from a fairly broken home. My parents divorced when I was in second grade, and I got tossed, back and forth between the parents, and I moved multiple times, and I had an interesting childhood, and so I was kind of angry as a result of it. I had this rage all the time, but I kind of squashed it down. I was bullied as a child in school, and can you tell? I've got the big old head, so yeah, naturally I was bullied as a kid. And so I walked around with a lot of rage. I'd carry that into my adulthood. I carried it, into my marriage even, and it was not healthy. It was not healthy. So I worked on it. I did work on it, and it was very difficult, and it's still difficult. And I went through I used multiple techniques and stuff like that to try to work through these anger issues. And then one day I was listening to a conservative talk show host. He's here in Houston. His name is Michael Berry. Pretty controversial guy, at least if you think that free speech is controversial. Anyway, he basically really made a great point on the air one day about being offended. And that's really what the source of my anger, ultimately, came from, or a large part of it came from. It's just constantly being offended all the time. And so he said, yeah, so this is a real problem. And he said, you can't make me offended. It's not possible for you to offend me. That is a choice. Our good friend Joseph Clough, who's actually streaming at the same time today, he constantly talks about our subconscious mind. And taking offense is a thing that our unconscious mind does automatically. It just does it. It makes that choice for us automatically, but it is a choice. Taking offense means that you have to take the other person's words and let them hurt you. It means that you are giving the power to that other person. So if you're on Twitter and you're scrolling through and you see buttholes and clickbait and all of that, you're going to go through all of this and you're going to come across something, and it's going to hit that soft spot, right? It's going to hit that soft spot, and your first reaction, because we're conditioned this way as human beings, our first reaction is to take offense. It's to take offense. And so when you can tap into your unconscious mind, as Joseph likes to put it, then you can actually make it a conscious decision to actually be offended. It's an amazing thing. And what it did, it worked wonders for me. Now, granted, I sometimes it's that automatic reaction. I can't catch it in time, and I'll snap and I'll get angry, I'll yell, whatever. But that's human nature. But as I get older, I've gotten better and better and better at realizing that little voice in the back of my head that wants to say, be offended, you should get angry. I'm realizing that's my subconscious, and that I have a choice. I can say, no, I'm not going to be offended. I'm not going to let you have power over me. You random person on Twitter, former Vice President Joe Biden, Donald J. Trump and your mean tweets. I can choose to be offended and just have a miserable life and be angry all the time. Or I can just say, you know what? You're not talking to me. You're not talking to me. And you have no power over me. So ever since then, it's just been awesome. My life has just gotten rosier and happier. My wife is ecstatic that I've found this, and this has been good 10, 12 years now that I've been practicing this. But I think it's important that everybody finds this simple truth out for themselves, that your reactions, whether it's taking offense or not, those are your reactions. You have a choice in your reactions. And I think we can make a brighter world if we all just stop walking around being offended all the time. Yeah? So I don't share a lot with Ricky Gervais from a political standpoint, or from a kind of a worldview standpoint, but he and I cross paths on a lot of things, and by cross paths I mean like intellectual paths on a lot of things, where we kind of ride the same road for a little bit, and then he diverges one way and I diverge the other, or I go the other way. But he in a stand-up bit he did, it was a couple of years ago, I think. Here, let me just show you, and I think he sums this up perfectly.
But again, that's what the world is like. People take everything personally. I think the world revolves around them, right? Particularly on Twitter, right? I don't know. I'm not tweeting anyone. I'm just tweeting, okay? I don't know who's following me. I've got 12 million followers. I don't know who's following me. They can be following me without me knowing, right? Choose to read my tweet and then take that personally. That's like going into a town square, seeing a big notice board, and there's a notice, guitar lessons, and you go, but I don't fucking want guitar lessons. What's this? There's a number here. All right, call that, right? Are you giving me guitar lessons? Yeah. I don't fucking want any. Fine, it's not for you then. Just walk away.
Right. Right. It's not for you. Just walk away. You have that choice to say, if I see something that's offensive, I can just walk away. I can turn my back on it. Right. So in the description of the show today, and if you look down in the description, I actually found something else on Twitter, and this is kind of paraphrasing, but taking offense on Twitter is like stepping in dog poop rather than walking around it. Right. I mean, you're walking into the mire, and then but you chose to walk in the mire. You chose to walk into that sludge that is Twitter. And if you get offended by that, that's not on me. So if I tweet out something, let's say I'm president of the United States. I'm president of the United States, and I tweet something just horrible. At least, to regular thinking people, something horrible and mean and vicious. Right? When people get offended, that's on them. That's not on me. And this goes all through the political spectrum. This goes all through all of society. It doesn't matter where you are, who you are, what you believe or don't believe. You have that choice. So I do like to use Trump as that example because, a lot of people on the right have been saying, oh, look what, Biden's kind of screwed up, but my mean tweets, at least we don't have mean tweets anymore. Well, yeah, so there's a little bit to that, but look, Trump is an asshole. He's an asshole, and he's going out to try to make people offended. Absolutely, that's his MO. But all these people that spent the last 4 years losing their minds over stuff that Trump said or tweeted didn't need to be so unhappy. No, there was no reason for them to be unhappy about it. They could have just chose not to be offended. It's really, really that simple. So I wanted to kind of go through a little bit with you and give you some examples of some of the flavors of offensive stuff. The art of offense, the different flavors of offense, if you will. So let's take a look at some of these. So I just scoured, and by the way, these aren't all the flavors. These are just kind of the ones I found interesting. So the first flavor is the apologetic use of being offended or taking offense. Basically, to let everyone know that you are so virtuous, So Redheaded Wreck here said, if I ever misgender you, please know that it's not on purpose, and absolutely please correct me so I can fix it for the future, because I would never intentionally misgender you. I will not be offended. Okay, so far that's fine. That's fine. But then she kind of weaponizes it a little bit. If you correct me, I would be more offended if you assumed I was hateful. You see how people use that as kind of a tool? It kind of makes me, just kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies. Now, it is used worse. There are worse ways to use it. So the original message here from Mahalia, let me just read it. And just so you know, I don't hold these views, but I think this was pretty reprehensible. But this was supposed to be our anniversary day, but Black ruined it. Say what? Why they always start drama everywhere they go. This is not racism. Okay, you preface it, but let's see. Please leave K-pop alone if you're just going to get offended with everything. Okay, okay. What's K-pop got to do? And before you say K-pop is black culture, what? K-pop does it better than your own people. Go back to your own baby hood rat gang culture and stay away from ours. What? So preface it with, this is not racist. By the way, it is racist. If y'all put this much energy into building your own communities, then maybe you wouldn't be so poor and disgusting to the fucking world. I'm disgusted. Wow. So Mahalia apparently is a racist. And, guess what? That's her prerogative. She can be a racist, whatever. We can all turn our backs on her. I'm assuming that's a her. But, and it's a big but, this person, Shiara, let it roll, says, I don't think I've ever been this disgusted and offended before in my entire life. So what this flavor of taking offense is taking offense for other people. Now, I'm not going to get too political here. I'm just going to mention this, but that when you talk about like things like Black Lives Matter, and then you have a bunch of white people coming out and saying, I hate white people. This is kind of the same thing. It's slow your roll, stay in your lane, right? Look forward. And not only that, this person here, yeah, you're not black. I'm sorry, you're not, what? I guess I think you're Asian, but you're not black. So why are you taking offense? And this, this just drives me crazy. Makes me absolutely cuckoo in cabeza when people just take over, somebody else's emotions as their own. It's like, well, I feel it, so I'm going to feel it for you, black people. That's kind of derogatory. That's kind of saying that, black people can't think for themselves, or they can't feel for themselves, and they can't fight their own battles, that sort of thing. I hate that form of offense. I hate it. It's one of my least favorite ones. I don't like any of them, but that's one of my least favorites. Moving on. Then there's the weaponized version. This is the weaponized taking offense. So the original tweet by this Kai 7, or Kai to the 7th power, he said, kill all cis men. Kill all cis men. So that got him locked from Twitter. Of course it did. Of course it did. You're not allowed to say kill all, insert, classification of human being here. Just not allowed to say it on Twitter. Twitter doesn't take kindly to that. By the way, I don't think that's, in this case anyways, I don't think that has anything to do with political affiliation either. I think they just don't like it when you say stuff like that. And if you report it, you're going to get locked or blocked. But he's weaponizing the offense. He's trying to offend people in such a way. And then he says, I think I offended a cis man, LMAO. Give me a freaking break. This is the weaponized version of causing offense and making people angry and reporting you. Fun. The next version is the Karen apology. Offensiveness. The Karen offensive. So a lot of people get offended when you use the word Karen, right? But you know what? It's your choice. The original DM, it looks like, says the headline, more volatile than Britney, indicates microaggression and dehumanization of abuse victims. Take it down. So Adriana Mendez, in her Twitter bio, put that in there, that she was more volatile than Britney. And then Adriana, of course, rightfully so, said, are you kidding me? What kind of world are we creating when you can be offended by a nobody's Twitter bio? This is a Karen basically saying, I'm offended. You have to take it down. You got to take down this message because I'm offended. And by the way, this is the MO of the standard social justice warrior. It's not about the actual people that might be the target of such speech. It's never about that. It's always about the social justice warrior themselves, the SJW themselves. They're offended, so you must behave. You must change your behavior. You must change your speech because I'm offended. Not because of the people that you may have, tried to offend, or the people that you maybe belittled or called names or whatever. No, those people have nothing to do with that. I'm offended. Change your speech, bub. So That's another. Karens make me crazy. By the way, I feign anger here, but I don't really get angry. Just a little frustrated. So the Dame of Flame goes here, and this one is another apologetic used, but this is the sports version, and I kind of having fun with that, but you'll see what I mean. My apologies go out to anyone I offended with my post yesterday. I should have never approached the whole Billups situation uneducated. I'm assuming they're talking about Chauncey Billups in the NBA. I don't know. But anyway, I hope it doesn't affect the way you view my account. I respect everyone's beliefs, opinions. Thank you for respecting mine. I'm so sorry that I said something that might have hurt somebody's feelings. Please don't hate me. Please don't hate me. So this is a version also of the apology that says, I care so much about what strangers on the internet think that I'm willing to bend the knee. So Dana Lash famously said, never bend the knee to the rage mob. And that's exactly right. That is exactly right. I'm never going to apologize for something I said that it was either, an opinion that I hold that might, cause somebody to take offense. And by the way, it doesn't. It might, maybe somebody chooses to take offense over me liking the color purple, which I do. I love, that's my favorite color. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. I don't really know. It's just my favorite color. But so people out on the internet will get offended by that. Guess what? I'm not going to apologize. I will never apologize for having an opinion. Now, if I were to call somebody a name, I would be respectful. If I did it out of anger or whatever, flew off the handle for whatever reason, I would absolutely apologize. But for having an opinion, would you? Would you apologize? Because guess what? When you apologize for having an opinion, you give the people that are after you power. This is kind of what happened to Gina Carano. So if you don't know what happened with Gina Carano, who played Cara Dune on The Mandalorian, people chose to be offended by some stuff that she tweeted. And by her own admission, she was tweeting stuff that, she didn't know a whole lot about, but she thought was funny or whatever. She put, fake pronouns in her profile, beep, bop, boop, and got a lot of people upset with her. And they wanted to cancel her. And she kept apologizing. And what did that get her? Got her fired. Because you're not supposed to apologize to these people. You have an opinion. Don't apologize. You're allowed to have an opinion. This is the United States of America. You are allowed to have opinion. If anybody knows about having an opinion and being allowed to have an opinion, is Mr. Alex McDonald, the politics show. He understands this. He's here in the show with me right now. I've got lots of friends who feel the same way, who are willing to speak their mind and speak their opinion and not be ashamed by it. Because it's just my opinion. Never bend a knee to the rage mob. The rage mob is just a bunch of offended people that have chosen to be offended over your speech. So the final one is what I call the pop culture version. In this case, it happens to do with Star Wars. So apparently, and I did a little bit of research on this, but apparently Lego, the bricks, that you can make all sorts of cool stuff. Lego is, tightly associated with Marvel and with Star Wars and Disney, and they released a model that you could build of a ship from the Star Wars franchise that was flown by Boba Fett. Now, if you're a Star Wars fan, you know that Boba Fett flew a ship called Slave One, and it was a badass ship. I mean, here's a model of it right here on the screen. It was an awesome ship. It was so cool. When I was a kid, I wanted to have Slave One. When I saw the Empire Strikes Back, when I saw that movie, I was like, I want that ship. That ship is awesome. Who doesn't want Slave One? So there's, by the way, this is a little bit manufactured, but so they've released a new model that says in the description, Boba Fett's ship. Not the name of the ship, but just Boba Fett's ship. They have purposefully omitted and removed the name Slave One. Okay. All right. I'm not that upset by it. I'm kind of like, that's annoying, whatever. But apparently it's trending quite heavily. And yeah, so here's an example. This ship is Slave One. If the name offends you, then I have two words for you. Be offended. That's right. And I agree with that sentiment wholeheartedly. Be offended. Because guess what? Nobody cares about you being offended because that's your choice. I'm sorry if you choose that and are hurt by it. That's your choice. And why is Slave One offensive? I don't even understand why Slave One is offensive. It's the name of a ship. A fictional ship. This isn't even real life. And people are freaking out about this. I mean, what's next? What is next? So I'm going to add a couple of words of wisdom here from Twitter, believe it or not. So I don't know if you ever used to, when I was a kid, I tore through the funny pages on the in the newspaper. I used to read Calvin and Hobbes and Snoopy and Family Circle as well was one of them. And those were always kind of like the wholesome, they're always in a circle, and it was this wholesome family, and it was kind of cute, whatever. So one of the Twitters, one of the tweets that somebody posted, they posted it yesterday, but here's what it is. For just going to leave this here for the avoidance of doubt. If someone is offended, that's their problem. It's not mine. And the comic, it's a modified comic, obviously. What's the magic word to get what you want? I'm offended. Haha. Yes. Yes, exactly right. People use this concept of being offended to get what they want. And it's really bad in politics. It's extremely bad in politics, but just in general, day to day, people do this. It's called victimhood. And it's a very real thing. It's a very real problem in this country. And it's actually causing, at least on the, in our government, it's causing policymakers to enact policy, to write laws based on people's level of being offended. People's level of choosing to be offended. That is some scary shit. And by the way, this is not left or right, Republican, Democrat. It's not that, because they both do it. Our government, our legislators do this. They basically, whoever's screaming the loudest, they appease that group just because they're offended. And it's usually the people that are offended, by the way, because that's the victimhood class. And finally, the last bit of really awesome wisdom here comes from what's this person, Slimmerella, which I think that's a great name, Slimmerella, like Cinderella, Slimmerella. Anyway, and I'm assuming this is a she. Her icon looks like a she. But a lot of you do not know how to have adult conversations without getting offended or defensive. Offended or defensive. That's why everything is so controversial and confrontational to you. Wow. That's a great statement, and just it's dripping with real. It's just dripping with real. That's it. That's it. Because you choose to be offended or go on the defense, then everything that's coming at you it feels like more piling on. It feels like everything is against you now. And as a result, everything feels controversial. Everything is confrontational. This piece of wisdom here, I might print this out and put it on my wall just as a reminder that being offended is a choice, and it leads to bad outcomes. it leads to bad outcomes. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. So at the end of the day, just stop it. Just stop it. Stop choosing to be offended. I think it's pretty simple. Let's put it this way. It's pretty simple in concept. It's not simple in practice, because you're fighting with your unconscious mind to remove the conditioning that you've felt ever since you were a child. Taking offense is very similar to, not getting what you want. So when you're, think about it when you're a toddler and you're at the grocery store with your mom and you see that piece of candy, you see that candy bar up on the shelf, I want candy, give me candy, I want the candy. And your mom says, no. What do toddlers do? That's the same thing as being offended. That's the same thing as being offended, because guess what? Mom does a lot of times. Okay. Here you go. Here's your candy. And kid goes, hey, I got what I want. We're taught that. That's exactly how we're taught and how we're raised. And even if we're not directly taught that, we see it all around us. And so as a result, our unconscious immediately goes to that type of behavior, that immediate goes to the offense. And once you recognize that and you get past it, you're able to click that in your mind. You'll be able to go, stop. Then you can make the right decision and stop choosing to be offended. Thanks for watching. This has been my TED Talk. All right, guys. So I don't know who else here. You can't win the oppression Olympics if you choose not to be offended. Right. Alex, you're absolutely right. So yeah, the oppression Olympics is a thing. It's who can. It's two parts actually, right? Who can be the most offended, right? And then who can yell about it the loudest. So I think of people like AOC. So she's, before I do that, I think about people like AOC. She's basically offended about everything. And she screams the loudest about it. The problem with AOC, though, she's not genuine about it. The people on Twitter have got, these, SJWs on Twitter have got it down. They've got the art form down really, really well, to where it's so grating and so just like in your face. And then they mobilize so many people against you if you have a differing opinion that, it puts AOC to shame. Now imagine some of these people making it to Congress. That's scary stuff. That's really scary stuff. So Twitter, let me do that. Twitter is the cesspool of humanity, and I love it because they're so easy to offend. Sorry, Alex, that's not your choice. Now, it may be your aim. You may be like throwing this stuff out there, hoping that people start choosing to be offended, but you don't have that power. They're giving it to you when they choose to be offended, but nobody, that's not a superpower. Nobody has that power. Even Trump. Trump cannot be offensive. He's an asshole, no doubt, but he can't be offensive because you have to choose that. Yeah, and she probably is Korean, or he, because I saw a lot of pictures of boys and men that looked like they were female, but their bio said him, so I guess they're male. I guess I don't know anymore. So I find this really funny. So you should wear that as a badge of honor. Anytime somebody blocks you for being offended. And did he really take offense? Did he say something to you specifically that he took offense to something you said? Because wow, I mean, he's like he said, he's got 12 million followers. Like that one random person in Georgia just offended him. That's pretty scary that somebody could be so hypocritical, because he goes around talking about stop taking offense and blah, 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 making fun of Hollywood, but then he goes and blocks some random dude in Georgia. So, yeah, too funny. Well, guys, I'm going to take it short today. I'm going to cut it short today. I'm going to edit this up a little bit. By the way, speaking of which, I am about to go into a partnership with a cousin of mine, and we are going to be working on some short content. Yeah, here we go. Offended him with a fact that he didn't like. Yep. I'm not gonna say any more than that. You nailed it right there. So, but I'm gonna be working with my cousin, who is a photographer, videographer, drone pilot. You know, basically what he does for a living is he goes to real estate, does like drone footage, videography, stuff like that. But he also creates short films. So I'm going to team up with him, and we're going to create some Beyond 280 content, not shorts, but some Beyond 280 content together, where we are going to talk about. I'm not going to give anything away, but we're going to talk about Twitter, and we're going to take some subjects and we're going to lampoon them. So we're going to make some fun. We're going to have some fun with it. We're going to make people laugh, or we're going to try to make people laugh. I don't know if I'm really that funny, but we're going to try to make some people laugh. And then we're also going to talk seriously about some subjects when it comes to Twitter, very specific to Twitter, not so much with social media, and that's what we're talking about, very specific to Twitter. So look for that in the coming weeks or month or so. I'll be meeting with him this week, hopefully to firm that up and say, hey, let's do this. I've got a bunch of video ideas lined up. I'm looking forward to releasing all that content. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope you guys will enjoy it. So that's coming. And you may have noticed I've kind of been lax on my podcasts, simply because I have a new puppy in the house. So even doing a stream is difficult. As you heard me in the beginning, in the beginning of the stream, I lost my internet basically and had to go wireless because of the puppy. So that's going to be rectified here in the next week or so, where we're going to have a better system of handling the puppy, so that I can find the time to do the things I need to be doing as far as creating content. So my podcast will be coming back this Friday, so no worries there. And if you subscribe and click that bell, then you'll get notified when I do go live. I normally go live Mondays and Wednesdays, but I may be going live on other days, and I will definitely be releasing some new videos, recorded content, so be on the lookout for that. And I will be bringing back, and Elo was asking me about this the other day, I will be bringing back interviews. I've been trying to get some people lined up. I'm hoping that happens sooner rather than later. And by the way, I'm changing the format of the interview a little bit as well. So if you've seen some of my previous interviews, you'll I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to give away anything. As always, you can always support me, support this show, especially support the efforts that I'm going to be doing in the next month or so with all these recorded videos that we're going to be doing. So you can buy me a coffee or a sushi, or as Grim likes to put it, and check that out there. Also, at the end of the day, I am a proud member of the Creators Guild. So the Creators Guild was created by Mr. David Foster, the Impartial Geek, to be kind of a central place for creators to get together and share ideas and learn from each other and talk about gear and talk about their content and get critiqued on their content. You can check that out along with the Creator Toolkit right here. That thing right there. The Creator Toolkit is a great way for creators to get started if they have no idea how to even get started. They just want to get out there with their phone and a microphone and start creating content. This will help to get you started. And at the Creator Toolkit, you can also sign up for the Creators Guild, which again is that community of creators from all over the world. Awesome community. I highly recommend it. And with that, I'm going to say farewell and adieu. And Alex, I will catch you in a couple of hours here. Yeah, a couple hours here on your live broadcast tonight. So everybody check out the Politics Show. You saw him here. I will put him back up there. Go check him out. Also down in my channel, if you go back to my channel and go down a couple, about a page, you'll see a list of all the ambassadors, as well as some guild members from the Creators Guild and their content. Politics Show is one of them. So definitely go and check those out, because there's some great content out there that these people are putting out, and I am very proud to point you to them. So everybody have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful week if I don't see you on Wednesday, which I hope to. Peace out.